Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, and we have a very good friend with us, Asher Cohen. Asher, welcome to the Jewish View.
Thank you so much.
Well, Asher is a local yokel, he's a Delmarian, but he picked himself up and he went to Israel to live there now with his wife and 7 kids, am I right? All right, so I'm right about that. Well, in any case, welcome to the Jewish View, Asher.
Thank you.
Now, you know, just to pick yourself up, beautiful suburb, Delmar. We love living here, myself and my family. And you picked yourself up to go to a foreign country, which, I don't know, explain to yourself, explain maybe it's a social, economical, lowering yourself to, I don't know what kind of house you live in. Maybe if you invite me over there, maybe I'll check you out. But yeah, tell me what life is. Tell people what life is in Israel.
For sure. There are differences. Obviously, I grew up in Delmar in a couple different residences. Went to Bethlehem Central High School, so I'm well familiar. In Israel, it's quite different. There's no spacious lawns. There's no deer. There's no manicured landscaping.
What city do you live in?
We live in Beit Shemesh, which is between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, a little bit to the south, which is an ancient city. Obviously, it's in the Bible, and it's a biblical city. And we've been there for after we got married, we settled there. And
how many years you been married now?
20. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary. Yeah.
I remember when you were single over here.
Yeah, I know. I was on the show when I was single.
Yeah, I know this. Remember, this is I had to bring you back over here to tell me what 20 years it brought to you over here.
Yeah, only 20 years we'll do a reunion. But it's over there. It's great. It's intense. It's much faster, much.
I mean, like a New York City.
Yes,
faster,
yes, very much so. I compare it generally to a Manhattan type pace. There is a speed and there's a dynamic nature to. Obviously, people are familiar with the political issues all the time. There's always something else in the air. In terms of our friendly neighbors surrounding us, there's always something to worry about there. In terms of obviously COVID and the coronavirus, there was that. There's always something changing, moving. Right now, there's political unrest regarding the judiciary reforms, judicial reforms.
Well, you got a Jew say you're going to have a lot of different opinions.
That's right.
A lot of different parties.
Everyone's passionate. There's lots of passion. There's lots of there's polarization in some respects, and but.
Do you feel safe there and secure, or there's a little bit, or
I feel very safe.
Living in Delmar over here?
Yeah, living in Delmar, you would definitely feel safe and secure. I was just in Schenectady like an hour ago.
Good.
And we brought our kids to an aquarium. There, it was very nice. And we came out, and there was a SWAT team outside the aquarium in this kind of mall type area. I'd never been there before, but suddenly I see these 5 troopers kind of come in with pretty serious weaponry. So I'd never seen that. I'd never really seen that before. In Israel, though. There is
people walking around with machine guns, even young women.
Yeah, there's the gun issue. There's no real, I think, gun issue in Israel. It's unlike America. There's no Second Amendment. Second Amendment is
correct.
There's no Second Amendment, but you can still get a gun license if you are in an area where it necessitates,
protection.
Yeah, protection, or if you're, most people are in the military, so they have. That type of training, but very safe. I feel very, very safe there. I don't remember being ever in an incident where I felt. My wife was before we were married, my wife was in downtown Jerusalem, and there was a terrorist attack very close to her. She hid in a store for about a half an hour, and read Psalms basically, hiding underneath a cash register area, kind of a shoe store. But that was a different time, it was a little bit of a different time. But there's still events like that, unfortunately,
Yeah.
But,
What do you do for a living? I mean, again, talking about socioeconomics.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making it, or it's
Yeah,
very
yeah, we're doing
expensive,
okay. Yeah, I've had different different chapters in our in that pursuit right now. Working in finance in an
Really?
asset recovery firm, which is going pretty well. And there's a lot of entrepreneurship in Israel. This is a startup nation, and there's always ideas and people, new businesses and opportunities that are seemingly bubbling up. It's a very innovative climate. I remember there was a study of expats that had left America and had gone to different countries. So there was Brazil was one country and Israel was another country, and they measured it on the different kind of measuring sticks. But I remember it was kind of a circle graph, and there was different. I don't remember the name of the type of graph it was, but when it was came the dynamic nature of Israel, how dynamic was the country these expats had to rate. So Israel was off the map. It was off the chart. It wasn't even within this kind of. You said where is Israel at? It was off the chart, and it's really true. Things change so fast. Also in the economic world. It's
Well,
very interesting.
necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
They say, I think that one of the biggest exports is weaponry, military, since they have to keep up with their neighbors,
Yeah.
so that they have to keep an edge. Well,
Yeah.
once they're doing well there, they might as well sell it to
Yeah.
other countries. So
Yeah.
you have that kind of
And
idea.
America invests in it. America tremendously helps Israel in that regard. I have not my direct family, but some of my rabbis and their families are in specialized units in the army, and so I hear stories from them, and on the ground amongst the soldiers, I heard just so many stories of just kind of the camaraderie and the respect between the military, not just on the political level, and not maybe amongst the generals, but amongst the actual soldiers, especially in the special units. There was just I heard a number of stories of real real respect and relationship, good relationships that were built amongst these kind of training together, operating together. So it was interesting. Over the years, I've heard these stories, and I always kind
It's
of.
interesting you were just mentioning that rabbis
Yeah.
in the military.
Yeah.
So again, that's also always a big issue. The rabbis, which means they're Orthodox for the most
Sure.
part, in Israel, a lot of people don't go to the army, and obviously you're just saying
Right.
some people do.
Right. When I was 22 when I was in Israel, and my rabbi who was in the Navy SEALs in the Israeli
Really?
army, he said to me, "Don't go," because I wasn't born there, and I did not. He said, you have different tasks, you have different purpose, you have different purpose. You don't necessarily have to volunteer, even though I wanted to, and I was very athletic at the time, and I saw, young men my age who were, in uniform right next to me on the bus, or right next to me at university, or yeshiva, or wherever it was, and so I had obviously a drive to do that. But my rabbi said to me, "Don't go," even though he was very well experienced in that. So there's different streams that some are pro, some are against, some. But what is interesting is the middle brass of the army is primarily religious soldiers. That was
Really, you think?
Yeah,
I never heard that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Because the people who stick with it and want to graduate.
In like 2-3 years and out, most people.
That's for the most part. Most part is 3 years and out. But the people who want to become officers and want to see it as an idealistic type vocation, or so a lot of them are more religious, and you see that the middle echelon in the army is primarily people with yarmulkes on their head. which is an interesting phenomenon.
It's
Which was not,
interesting.
yeah, that was not the case.
It's an interesting, I mean, I parallel to American Jewry also, that because there's a reason to be there. I mean, if again, you're just looking, well, I want a good life, well, what do you have to be in the army for? You know, it's not a good life. But if you have
Yeah.
an ideal, like, hey, I'm protecting the Jewish
Sure.
people, this is our homeland, I want to be here, then they're the people who are going to stick with it.
Right.
A little bit, like I say, with America, the people that are more Orthodox, well, they're going to keep kosher, and they're, you know, they're going to go to synagogue and hold it up. Their kids are going to go to children are going to go to an Orthodox day school. So all these different things, and if you're just saying, well, I'm Jewish and I eat bagels and lox, so it's nice that you eat a few bagels, but you're not going to be going to synagogue for the most part, and you're not going to be going to, you know, the kosher stores. So on, so many ramifications of just being more Orthodox into the Torah and the mitzvahs.
Yeah. I remember when I was 19 or 20 when I obviously didn't grow up Orthodox, but I remember when I was at that point in life as a younger man, I guess there was that question of, you know, is there purpose in the world? You know, is everything, you know, meaningless, and is it more, you know, is everything fiction? Is it all just subjective or relative? Or is there purpose? Is there, you know, an objective right and wrong? You know, there was this kind of dichotomy of you know, which way are you going to go? And I was very much against the idea that there could be purpose and there could be an objective right and wrong, because that kind of necessitated there would be a, you know, an absolute power, you know, behind that. There's only one, only God could create a, you know, an objective reality of right and wrong. You can't impose that. You couldn't create it. So I had a lot of resistance to that initially. And that was, I was really stuck on that, is, you know, it can't be that there's purpose in the world. It can't be that there's real meaning to the world. That was how I was, you know, was 18, 19, 20 in college. That's how I kind of saw the world. And then I reframed that, and thank God you know what happened? I asked myself, why was I so against that? I kind of took a step back. I said, why am I so against the fact that there could be God in the world? Like, why do I have that kind of intense rejection of such an idea? It didn't make any sense. Like, what's the issue? What's the problem? I know there's a change in the ramifications to that decision, to that. But I didn't have a Torah in front of me at the time, and I didn't have any, you know. It just meant that there's purpose and there's reasons and there's no coincidences and there's an objective right and wrong. I don't know what it is, but it would necessitate, if once there's God, then there's, you know, there's you have an absolute power. Then that has, you know, it immediately implies there's the Creator created its creation with a purpose in mind. You know.
Well, you know, on
Yeah.
one hand, you know, because of course with Chabad we're dealing with all kinds of Jews and different attitudes, to say the least. But I think that's actually the reason why some people aren't religious, because, I mean, look at yourself. If there is a God and there is a purpose in the world, well, like that, you're an Orthodox Jew, which, you know, on and on and on. It means you're kosher, and you have
Yeah,
7 kids,
sure.
and you're wearing the tzitzis, and on and on and on, which is a highly disciplined lifestyle. And well, I don't want to do all that. I want to
Yeah.
just do my thing.
Yeah.
So then you just shy away. Oh, well, there's really no God, and I could just do whatever I want.
Right.
It goes the other way,
Right.
where people who don't want to confront that
Right.
issue because I don't know if it's scary for them, but just they don't want to be disciplined like an Orthodox Jewish person is.
Yeah. There was that. I think there's the psychological. There's the cognitive dissonance. You know, But we only live so long, and you know we're going to confront that at some point. I mean, it's okay. It's not. You know, I think that people sometimes think it's an all or nothing type venture. That if I accept this, then that means, you know, I have to do everything. Which is not true. You know, it's step by step. It's step by step, and God knows we're not super beings or supermen and women. Like we're human, and so these decisions are difficult to confront, but they're necessary to confront. It's hard though.
Yeah, again, it's not, it is an all or nothing. On one hand, you say it's all true,
Yeah.
but practically,
Practically,
it
that's
is
the thing.
one step by one step.
Yeah.
You can't do everything
100%.
overnight.
Yeah, yeah.
And that maybe people have to be told that also. It's not like, well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna turn over and to do everything, it's just too much. Well, they're probably right about that. It is too much to do overnight.
Right.
But, it's supposed to take a step in the right direction, as long as you know where your goals are. Hey, I wanna do that one day, everything, but I'll just take one step, and
One
that
step.
makes things easier for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
What about your children? Talk about that. I mean, they're in day school and they're happy, and
Yeah,
what's the age range?
our oldest is 19.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She is currently at Camp Hask, which is
Counselor.
yeah. she's
Tell
at-
us about that a little bit,
Yeah.
because that's an interesting story for our viewers.
Camp Hask was started years ago.
Oh, what does it stand for, you know?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I know it's a
yeah.
Hebrew Academy for Special Children.
Yeah.
So it's,
Special needs camp.
it's special needs, and it's not an easy job,
Right.
but
I think there are 3 counselors to every camper.
really,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's much. I think that it gives an experience to these children with special needs. First of all, not everyone's a child. There's campers there who are 40 years old.
Really?
Yeah, they just keep on going back. Yeah. I think that I'm not an listen. I know some of the people who were helped contribute originally to the camp in very big ways are still very involved, and I know that Rabbi Judah Michel, who is the executive director or the chief rabbi of the camp, not well, but I've met him. But through my daughter, I've kind of understood more about the camp. It's a very, very special place. It's almost it's an amazing place, and in different respects. Number one, obviously, the campers have a tremendous experience of just a freshness and people helping and kind of new activities, and just a very extremely warm environment, energetic environment, and it's different than the rest of the year when they're maybe at home. In that respect, it's amazing, but it's also amazing in terms of the campers. The counselors, which they have to apply. Usually, it's a number of years until they get accepted.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone, and it can be very tough, but they come out as really true, giving on a different level, being able to give on a different level, unconditional giving, and connecting to these very special souls of these campers. Just amazing stories.
Chabad has Friendship Circle, which is similar. It's not a whole overnight camp, which I'm sure is very intense.
Right.
But it's just once a week, and they come over again. Special needs. These special needs, they call it Friendship Circle because, like a child with special needs, no one wants to play baseball, or they probably can't play baseball.
Yeah.
And a kid wants to run around, and they can't.
Yeah.
Well, these kids are handicapped. And therefore they don't really have friends. And here you have a regular teenager being friend with them and just
Sure.
hanging around with them.
Right.
It's very special. And their motto is, in which that's why I relate to your daughter also, the more you do for these children are doing for them. Because again, like you were talking about purpose, but a lot of teenagers, whether they dealt with it or they wish they would come more to Judaism, but they do have these issues. Why am I here? And
right.
they are depressed. And again, it's an outstanding statistic, but the biggest killer of teenagers from 18 to 35 is suicide.
Really?
So what does it mean? They're so depressed and they have nothing to live for. That's what it is. And here, so it's not about you, what makes you happy, or you don't have enough money, or you just lost your boyfriend, or whatever have you. It's a matter of there's other people who need help.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, is doing more for these young people that care for them, and they just say, again, you feel how fortunate you are. Not like, oh, well, that person has more money than me, and oh, look at that movie star, I wanted to be, they have so much, even though they don't have too much anyway. But in any case, that they just see, hey, it's not a matter of more and more. Look at,
Yeah.
there's people who are less than you, and you can help out, and you're very, very important in their lives. You have a bunch of friends, all right, and if you're not there, you are there,
Right.
there's a bunch of friends. But these people truly show appreciation. So that's, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not a side idea, it's the main idea. These kids are, it's very, very big charity that they, again, it's a lot of fundraising, like you were saying,
Yeah.
to have 3 counselors for every child. How much is it going to cost already? I don't know their budget, but I'm sure it's tremendous. But people, the Orthodox community put it out because just these, the Rebbe would always say, every person is important. And it's not like, well, if they're rich, they're important, they get their name on a plaque, oh, you're intelligent, you can be a rabbi, ooh, that makes you important. No. Every person, no matter who they are and what they are important. And Hashem made whatever is reason, but maybe that's the reason for a person helping them out. Here's somebody that you should have, compassion for, and should have help. And the Orthodox community gives them a lot of kudos that they realize this idea and do help out these unfortunate. It is unfortunate when you meet these people that have real, like you say, special needs.
Yeah, it's been transformative for my daughter, and she's not a counselor; she's a photographer. So
Really?
she gets to kind of, find the stories and kind of record the relationships that are. She did it last summer, and she's doing it this summer again. And it has been expansive in terms of her vision of the world and how she can give and what giving is, and definitely it's very important, I think, as the rabbi was saying, for the teenage years, for that expansion to occur, before people get involved in work and family life, and it's harder at that point, but it's a very enriching, and it's it has a name for a reason, in the Orthodox community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's excellent
Yeah.
over here. What about your other children? I started with 7 children. We're up to 1.
Yeah, this
over
is a
here.
scary question. I have to remember the ages and
Yeah,
everybody.
don't ask. I have 13. People ask me, what are they up to? I said, wait a minute, I got to get my
Right.
computer out.
Everyone's in school.
They have school through the summer, don't they?
They
in
do. We
Israel?
actually are playing hooky because we came. Well, the girls are actually off school. The boys continue until Tisha B'Av coming. Hopefully, Mashiach will come before, but so they're all in school locally. Very good schools. The Beit Shemesh happens to be a more Ramat Beit Shemesh specifically, a more English-speaking environment. People who are immigrating, making Aliyah to Israel, tend to land in various locations, and Ramat Beit Shemesh is one of them. So they have there's a lot of English speakers, and it's a softer kind of landing. So they're in very good schools. Some of them are more helpful in English, and they have a lot of
They
friends.
teach them in English, or it's just
No, it's all
it's
Hebrew. Everything's in Hebrew. But amongst themselves, amongst a lot of friends in their social circles, they might speak more English than you would find in other parts of Israel, that's for sure.
So they speak a good English,
Yeah.
and they learn no English.
Yeah, the younger
They
ones.
teach English anyway,
They
even
do.
to the Israelis.
They do. As the ages descend, their English gets worse.
Yeah.
But the older 3 had more experience in America. We were here. We were in Israel for a good period of time. Then we came to Pittsburgh, where we were helping teach Judaism on campus, and then we came back to Israel. So the children who were born in Israel, the younger 2 who were born in Israel, they're very Israeli. The 2 who were born in Pittsburgh, a little bit less, and the ones who were before that, But thank God, I sometimes slap myself to say, I've been very blessed, with this kind of going in this direction. Thank God, and having fruits which I never thought would be. I never imagined it. It's natural. It's very natural, but it's at the same time. From my perspective, I have two lives, kind of, which I look at. What was when I was before 20 and after 20, and where I was on track to go before 20 was in a different, different. It was a different destination point. So I recalculated the GPS. God's GPS recalculated my journey. I ended up with a really amazing. Blessing, in a lot of respects.
Well, again, like I say, they try to tell people also, it's a little paradoxical, like you're saying, because on one hand, you're limiting yourself. You go, again, I said with kosher, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. But in the end, or just not even the end, you should, in the middle of your life, you see already that the blessings come. It's hard to tell people, you're going to get blessed.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good life. What kind of good life? They say, well, you try and you like it, and the blessings do come through, and you see that. You're right, in a very natural way. Wasn't someone come down
Right.
from the mountain talking to you,
Right.
but in a very natural way. But you see in the retrospect,
In retrospect,
you see that.
unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
What about your wife over here? We can't forget about
Yeah,
her.
she was going to be the rabbi kindly invited her to join the show at
Next summer.
next summer, maybe next summer. Shulamit is my Ashes Chayil, my woman of valor. She's great. She's maintaining the home, has been, and we're very happy in Beit Shemesh. She's very involved in some community initiatives and volunteering here and there, and it's good. She keeps our heads on straight and just helps us charge forward.
Again, I just want to emphasize or underscore what you're saying.
Yeah.
As again, the women are a very forceful force in Judaism. First of all, taking care of 7 children was no easy job.
For sure.
And number 2 is just being involved in, like you were saying, communal affairs and helping things out here, there, and the other thing.
Yeah.
So the women are a very big powerhouse in the Orthodox community.
Right. No, she's the main drive in our family. There's no doubt. And it's the same with my mother. It's the same with my mother. And I think most homes, operate in that way. There's different strengths everyone brings to the family and the relationship, but it's in her credit. Our entire family and everything that I have is in her credit. So.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time, but Usher, I'm glad you stopped by. Came all the way from Israel to be on the Jewish View, of course. But it's important for people to know that, that they could go to Israel. I know that some people say, "Oh, I don't go to Israel. I heard there was a bombing there. It's dangerous." And I'm trying to tell them. I mean, I could tell them, "Well, I'm an American, but here you're in Israel. It's there's an incident here and there, and there's an incident here and there in America too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but true is true, and therefore people should come and visit and." And if they're seeking for things, I know people find themselves in Israel, maybe they can't find so much Judaism, and they could if they want to search, of course, as we obviously teach, but some people just have to be in Israel in that environment, and that they find, hey, this is what a Jewish person is,
That's what happened to me.
to live in a Jewish environment. So
Yeah.
thank you very much
Yeah.
for your yearly visit over here. So
Thank you,
everything is very good and should
Yeah.
be with more success and only good things.
Amen.
And like you're saying, the Mashiach should come and we should all be in
Amen.
Yerushalayim together.
Amen.
Thank you.